Okay, brother, listen. Let me tell you this. There's ample evidence to suggest that the Quran wasn't completed at the time of Muhammad, first of all.
Sorry?
There's ample evidence to suggest that there isn't a completed Quranic manuscript from the time of the Prophet. That's number one. Second, you said something very important, which is the people who met and knew the Prophet, contributed to the Quran. Because he walked and talked with the Prophet.
Carry on.
Well, I talked with the Prophet. And I said, okay, so are you trying to tell me that the Quran was completed in the presence of the Prophet? So he could supervise what was written? That's a question for you, and that's a no. Thirdly, the Sunnah of the Prophet was written 200 years after his death by the people who never met him, never walked with him, and lived miles apart. So how can you be sure that the sayings you find in the Sunnah are the correct sayings of the Prophet if it was written by the people who didn't met him? You just said that it was standardized by the people who met Muhammad and walked and talked with him. So I say that's brilliant, of course. That makes a perfect sense because the Gospel were written by the disciples between 10 and 63 years, which is the equivalent of the Sunnah. The Sunnah of the Prophet, however, was written 200 years, bro, by the people who never met him. Therefore, you find these changes or these additions in the Quran, which I'm going to show you. You have the Hafs reading and the Wash reading. Let's see, Surah Ayah 1, Surah 1, verse 4. It says, the Hafs reading, honor of the day, Maliki. Let's go to the Wash reading, king of the day. Who's that? Honor or king? Okay, let's go for the second one. Surah 2, Ayah 10. The Hafs reading says, they lie. How do you pronounce that? Wahibuhuna. And then the Wash reading says, they were lied to. Totally different meaning. You had Huna. Let's go for a second. Let's go to another one. Surah 2, Ayah 58. We gave mercy. Yeah, that's the Hafs reading. The Wash reading, he gives mercy. And it goes on. Surah 2, Ayah 125. Hafs reading. You should take. Wash reading. They have taken. No, they have taken. So who? You or they?
Are you talking to me or are you talking to the camera?
No,
and the crowd?
to the camera though.
Right. So it is only fair that you showed me. Wait.
No, but you don't see.
Look. Are you debating the people who are going to watch it later? Are you debating me? I'm only asking a question.
Why are you trying to me, bro?
No, listen.
If you wanted me to show you that, I will say I'll show you.
Listen. I am only making a point. Are you debating the people who are going to watch later in the future, or are you debating me? It's only fair that you showed me.
There is evidence that there's no way complete, there's no harmony within the...
If you're debating him, at least show him, because there's a debate between you. Can show the camera as well, as we saw. Okay, because he's the one who's refuting you here.
So basically, let's go for another change. Let's see the Hafs.
Show him the example
Surah
of
2,
what you're stating.
Ayah 184. Okay. A redemption by feeding a poor man, right? And the Wash reading says a redemption by feeding poor men.
Okay, so let him address it.
Surah 2. No, it's my time to speak, bro.
Yeah, but you asked.
No, it's my time to speak, bro.
Let him make a point.
Go ahead, say them all then.
Or otherwise I'll say, listen, okay, you're good, I understood, bye bye.
Okay, yeah.
I can say that, bro.
You want to carry on?
One last, so people. Surah 2, Ayah 259, the Hafs reading says, we shall rise up. The Wash reading says, we shall make alive. Totally two different meanings. My point is that there's no harmony between the Hafs and the Wash reading, bro. There's disagreements. So my point is very clearly, how can you be certain of the sayings of the Prophet if his Sunnah were written by people who never met him and 200 years after his death? That's my point.
Okay. Now
you have to go.
No, you can't just go like this. Come on, that is not very fair.
No, I will wait until he addresses it.
Okay.
That's fair though.
Because
is that fair though? Is that fair though? That's fair, right? Yeah, of course. I'm staying until the answer.
Very good.
You can go. Okay. I'm a coward to believe. No, come on.
No. Of course not. No one's going to say that.
I'm making a statement a little bit.
Sure. The statement that the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ was written 200 years after, this used to be a belief by some of the revisionist scholars some time ago. And in line with parroting and following these revisionist scholars, some people parrot that still today, not knowing that the whole idea has been debunked and rejected by the scholars themselves. So the idea that the Quran, not Quran, the Sunnah was written 250 years, 200 years later, it is not something that the mainstream, even the Western Orientalists would agree with you. So there are certain revisionist scholars who had these fringe views in the past, right? But things are changing. Obviously, the information that you are getting are from the Middle Ages, I would say. I mean, in my time frame. Wait,
Middle Ages, really? Come on.
listen. You didn't hear what I said? You are getting information which is not recent scholarship or recent studies from there. So these ideas you're getting this from, as you said, from the internet. Come on, internet has a signature where it doesn't delete itself. Once you put an article in the 1900, if it existed, say I put an article in 2011, unless the author deletes it, it remains there.
So your point is that it could not be authentic, basically.
Oh, please. Now,
I'm asking you. Come on, we're having a dialogue.
would you, no, not a dialogue, because I'm responding to you.
Okay,
it's
so
important that you listen.
It could not be authentic. Okay, I got it.
No, I didn't say anything. I'm saying the information that you get, it could be just there, outdated information. It's not. Still, man, nicotine. Why do you need nicotine for in the first place? You know.
You're going to debate about nicotine or?
Yeah, why not? I had my project done.
Oh, you at least have to go now.
Yeah, but we'll another time.
You address that. Address the.
Can I finish? I'm not talking about nicotine now. I'm just saying to you, nicotine in general, there's no reason to have nicotine. Okay, to continue. So, this point about Sunnah is not correct from you.
I understood.
Right. Now, coming back to the Quran.
The different versions.
You talk
about
about.
And the wash.
Oh, please. If you allow me to speak, I will continue. Right. So, you did not understand the point I made earlier. You saying, was whole of the Quran written down in the time of the Prophet? The answer is yes. People wrote the Quran in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
The complete. I said the complete.
Was the complete Quran written down? Yes.
At the time of the Prophet, don't chop my words, bro. I say was the complete.
During the time of the
complete at the time of the Prophet.
Why don't you let me speak? Then you will hear what I say.
That's what I said. Don't put words or cut words from my mouth, bro.
Okay. If you allow me to speak, then you will hear
I'm
what I'm
correcting you, though, bro.
How can you correct me when I'm not even finished?
I asked you, was the Quran completed at the time of Muhammad in his presence by the people who met him?
JC.
You were saying earlier it's your time, it's his time.
JC, you need to be a little bit more patient. You need to be a bit more patient.
No, you're biased, though.
I'm a bias.
No, because he's chopping my words, bro.
Let him finish.
No, but he's chopping my words.
You can refute him, don't worry.
I know you guys are going to edit, though, bro. I know you guys. I know you guys are going to edit. Oh, anyway, wait. Okay, sorry, come here.
Whole of the
Quran.
Quran.
This guy.
Whole of the Quran. Like whole of the Quran.
Yeah.
From beginning to end.
Yeah.
Every single verse of the Quran, ayah of the Quran, was written down during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Fact. This is a fact.
Completed, yeah.
If I say every single verse from beginning to
I want to hear
end,
from your mouth.
that means it's complete.
So
whole of the Quran
was completed. At the time
Excuse
of
me,
the Prophet,
excuse me.
when he was alive,
I find it. I find it now. I find it. I find it is a bit more on the going into the realms of being rude. That you are not allowing me to speak. You've already stated your objections, and I'm going to respond to it. Right? Whole of the Quran, from beginning to end, whatever the Quran composed of, that the Prophet delivered. In fact, during the last year of his life, he went to the Quran with Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, twice, from beginning to end. So the Muslims, the companions of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they knew precisely what is the complete Quran, from beginning to end. So all of that Quran was written down.
Okay, I understand.
Right. So this Quran was gathered together not from one person. That I need to reiterate again. Not from one person, from various companions of the Prophet who were direct witnesses in writing the Quran.
Okay.
And they brought down every single verse of the Quran. So that means the complete Quran was then transcribed. Right? So this is something that you need to understand. If the complete Quran is standardized, you might ask this question: do we have a copy of that Quran, complete Quran? We will say no. What we have is, we have many copies of the earlier standardized copies of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Okay? Many copies.
I understood.
Right.
Please address the different readings between the halves and the words.
Please. Be patient.
You addressed one point, I understood it.
Thank you. That's very good. That's very good. No problem. Now, to the next point
Some
is Hafs and Wash.
authentic- Yeah, there you go.
Hafs and Wash. Now,
Why different readings, please?
I will tell you. The
Not for
Prophet,
the audience.
the Prophet sallallahu alaihi. Look, I'm not speaking to the audience only. I'm speaking to you so that you can
But
understand.
everybody has to listen to what's going on, bro.
Yes.
It's educational, bro.
Very good. You know, I like your style. Educate the people watching.
We need to
No
learn.
problem. No
We
problem.
need to learn, bro.
So the Quran, the Prophet ﷺ said, was revealed in 7 ahruf. Ahruf is an Arabic word. You might not understand what it means. So we will say ahruf is a ways of reading the Quran.
Yeah.
So why was the Quran revealed in 7 ahruf? We have this mutawatir, mass transmitted report from the Prophet ﷺ when he asked and requested Angel Jibreel alayhi salam
Yeah.
to have this Quran revealed in this way. Why? The Prophet said, because among the ummah, among the community,
Yes.
there were people who could not read and write.
Yes.
There are people who are
Like
weak.
the prophet, like the prophet.
There were people who are weak, people who are old, the women. So you have people who find difficulty in memorizing the Quran and reciting the Quran.
Alright.
Right?
So that means
So to ease them and facilitate the Quranic